Over 32 million of us are employed in Britain. 1 in 8 work more than 48 hours a week. But compared to our European neighbours, we're not very productive.
Workers in Germany, for example, could actually stop working on a Thursday and yet still produce more than we do.
Some companies think the answer to greater productivity lies in working less.
We managed to work so efficiently that we can be as profitable in the 4 days as we could be in 5.
I don't ever foresee us moving back to a 5-day week.
Other businesses are about to follow suit in a bid to achieve balance.
I think there's a risk involved for me. I mean, this isn't a job for me, this is everything.
It's the perennial question of modern Britain. How do we achieve a work-life balance? 8 hours labour, 8 hours recreation and 8 hours rest. That was the ethos of industrialist Robert Owen in 1817. And for much of the last 2 centuries, we haven't deviated from his vision. But for many, the work-life balance has become a little bit unbalanced. But some companies are drastically changing the way we work. We start in London at a design company called Normally. It was founded by Marai, Tim, Chris and Mark, who believe a 4-day week is the key to their company's success.
We've observed that lots of people wait for their whole life for that big moment when they retire. But we've seen that in a few cases that never happens because you get ill or you're older by then, you're not as agile, you don't have the energy to really appreciate that time anymore. Maybe we can just flip that round. Maybe we can just take that time and move it forward and give it back to ourselves and our employees. And so that's when we decided we're going to go for a 4-day week.
Do you keep to just 4 days, or do you ever send a few sneaky emails on the 5th day?
It's not seen as a positive. Anything that happens outside of you being physically in the studio is usually frowned upon. And if I see that happen regularly, and I know this person is up doing stuff, I get worried. I think there's something wrong there, and so we should have a conversation. Some of the superheroes of our time, they are the guys who say, I work 90 hours, 100 hours, 120 hours. So people think, they read those figures and they say, that's what's going to make me successful. I'm going to do the same, and then I'm going to be Elon Musk, or I'm going to be, I'm going to have Facebook of the future. But that's not true.
Do your employees get paid the same amount as if they were working a 5-day week?
Yes, they get paid above market rates actually, which we're really proud of. And it's all because we managed to work so efficiently that we can be as profitable in the 4 days as we could be in 5.
This is Basil. He's been at the company for 2.5 years.
One of the things that everyone before they join is concerned about is, are you squeezing 5 days amount of stress into 4 days? Like, does everything actually push out? For whatever reason, we've managed to, that just doesn't happen here. So occasionally there is a late one, but I think I can probably count 2 or 3 in the 2.5 years that I've been here.
Do you ever find yourself inadvertently taking the odd call or sending the odd email on that 5th day?
The funny thing is, there's like a social, pressure's not quite the right word, but encouragement to make sure that you use that 5th day for yourself and not to do work. Like, you're not going to get brownie points for replying to emails on the 5th day.
But on a larger scale, are there any economic benefits?
Do longer working hours lead to greater productivity?
In the UK, we have a bit of a puzzle when it comes to our productivity. Workers in Germany, for example, could actually stop working on a Thursday and yet still produce more than we do. So therefore, greater and longer working hours doesn't necessarily mean that we're more productive, especially when it negatively impacts our health and our ability to do our job.
Do initiatives like the 4-day week or the 6-hour day impact on our economy?
Cutting our working hours isn't going to be a simple solution because it's about looking at the employee well-being as a whole. So how are we looking after our employees? Are we also offering lifestyle benefits? Are we harnessing modern technology to be able to offer greater flexibility as well as making sure that people still deliver? Because that's what's going to drive corporate profits and therefore economic growth more broadly.
Edinburgh is home to over 3,000 restaurants and cafes, and one of the city's most popular is about to make a major shift to the way they work. Stuart is the chef behind Aizle. He trained under Gordon Ramsay in New York, and this year his restaurant is going from 5 days a week to 4.
So we've decided to close the restaurant 1 day a week more than we did, so now we're only open for 4 days, 4 operational days, and extended the opening times a little bit to try and cover that. You know, selfishly I want to spend more time at home. You know, I need to have that time with my family now, and I also want it for my staff.
Is that selfish? Should we not be prioritising our life over work?
We definitely shouldn't see it as selfish, but that's how it feels when you're used to working a certain way, I think. If it doesn't work, you know, the immediate response will be, okay, potentially we can go back to opening some days, maybe in the higher season points, you know, the festival times, the Christmas times, where we go back up to 5 days then and see if that works. And if long term, if it doesn't work, then the restaurant was never sustainable enough anyway.
Jade is the restaurant's manager. How did you first react when you were told you were going from a 5-day week to a 4-day week?
Overjoyed. It's a huge benefit to our actual social life to be able to have some extra time off.
I mean, you're the restaurant manager and it's essentially losing 20% of the profits from the business because you're taking away 20% of the hours. That must concern you on some level.
Totally. That's such a stupid move. It's so stupid. It's the worst thing that a business could do. We spent a whole year trying to take that same revenue and trying in some way to have a better life balance. Like Stuart's son's 2.5 and he's had 3 services off in 4 years. That's crazy.
Do you think it's going to work?
I think it will either crash and burn very quickly or totally work, and I think we'll know in the first month.
But one size doesn't fit all. This is agent marketing in Liverpool. They have a company dog and bikes to ride to meetings on. And 2 years ago, they trialled a 6-hour day.
We have the opportunity and the flexibility to be able to try new initiatives. So we'd seen about a company in Sweden that were trying it in various other companies, and we thought, do you know what, why not give it a go?
It didn't quite work for your business, it didn't quite work for your clients. Why do you think that was?
We always said that when we did the trial, the most important thing was obviously that client work would not suffer. We would always meet deadlines, and if we had to sacrifice a 6-hour working day some days to meet deadlines, we would do that. So how we do it now is we have 2 shorter days. So we finish, we do a 6-hour day on a Friday, and then 1 day in the week based on deadlines and workload, a team member can finish at 4 o'clock so they can do an early. So essentially we're gaining 3.5 hours per week.
Research has shown that a poor work-life balance can severely impact on our health, and one of the main ways this can manifest is on our mental health. How big of a problem is a poor work-life balance in Britain?
We know that poor work-life balance can lead to poor mental health in the workplace, and we know that poor mental health in the workplace is costing the UK economy up to £100 billion a year.
What does work-related stress do to our mental health?
So what that can look like in an employee is somebody that's extremely stressed, somebody that's unable to concentrate, somebody who might not be as motivated as they usually are, and somebody who is actually working very long hours but not actually being very productive.
Over a year ago, a marketing firm in Glasgow thought they'd trial a 4-day week. The results surprised them, because not only did working less maximise productivity, it also boosted profits. Lorraine is one of the executives behind Pursuit Marketing. They employ over 100 staff and work a 4-day week. When did you decide to move to a 4-day week?
We ran a trial of different kind of flexible working patterns, and in the 3 months that we ran that programme, the people working the 4-day week were the most productive, happier in their role, and really reporting great things about the time they were getting at home with their family.
From a business perspective, what are the benefits?
When our staff are in the office, they're far more productive. They're focused on what they need to do, and they want to enjoy that 3-day weekend every weekend and not be worried about work. So productivity increased initially by about 38, and over the last year or so it's settled down to about 30% overall. Our business has grown substantially, as we said, so we entered 2017 on 2.2 million turnover, thereabouts, and we entered 2018 to a 5 million turnover year, and lots more work internationally, so it's been an exciting time for us.
How much do you think that success is due to the flexible working initiatives you have?
It's a huge factor, because the culture in the workplace drives better results, better performance, a happier workforce, so our retention rates are really high. We can attract the best talent to our teams, and our clients can invest in training these people, knowing they'll be here in the long term and they're not going to disappear. So we work with the world's largest IT companies, and they choose us over other agencies because of the culture and how well we treat our staff.
Do you pay your staff a full-time salary for working 4 days?
Yes, so our salaries, basic salaries, are around 25 to 28k per annum. On target's about 45 to 50k. When we launched the 4-day week, we actually increased our basic salaries for some, but their working hours were reduced to 4 days.
Do you envisage a time where you would revert back to a 5-day week?
Definitely not. I think in terms of the exceptional productivity results we've got, how happy our staff are, our staff retention rates, our clients are all bought into it now and they're trialling it themselves in some areas, so I don't ever foresee us moving back to a 5-day week.
All the businesses we met had one thing in common. They weren't afraid to experiment. And whether they were successful or not, their sheer willingness to try new things is what's going to drive forward innovation. And that will create a better work-life balance for workers across the country.